Okay, start. So today we will discuss, we'll start the discussion with trip interchange models. Okay, so trip interchange models are applied after trip distribution. So they are actually applied in the third stage. So they are, as I said earlier, they are more commonly applied and they are more popular models for mode choice. Okay, to find out which mode the traveler will choose. So the main difference between trip interchange and trip end model is that in trip interchange model, you have, or okay, I will come back to it. So with trip interchange model, after you apply the trip interchange model to your data, you will have the distribution of different modes between each zonal pair. So we had the OD matrix, right? In the OD matrix, you have number of trips which are going from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and so on and so forth. So for each value in that cell, you will find out how many trips are going with different modes. So if I go back to this, so this is the OD matrix. So each value in this matrix will be distributed into different modes. So for example, out of this 109, how many will go by bus, how many will go by car and taxi and so on. Okay. Similarly, out of this 18, you will have the same distribution. Okay. Like not the same distribution, I mean the same modes, and you may have a different distribution from for each cell value in this matrix. Okay. So each cell value from this matrix will be further distributed into different modes. Okay. So this is the Okay, I think there's a problem with my connection. I will just switch off my video. So okay, so like I said, you will be having a different OD matrix maybe for each mode. Okay, let me show you an example for that from Bahrain. Okay, I had group who was working on a design project, senior design project, and they came up with these matrices. Okay, I just remembered them when I was just talking about it. So this was for okay. Is there a message here? No, not from you. Okay. So this is a sort of a matrix. Okay, but this is showing the trip cost. Let me see if they made the. So they this is, yeah. So you can see between each two zones. So they already calculated the numbers earlier. Okay, I can show you the numbers as well. So between each zone, each pair of zone, we had, for example, these many trips. These are the number of trips between each pair of zones. Okay, so you can see the origins and destinations, and these are the number of trips. Then after they applied the mode choice models, the trip interchange models, they developed these equations, and on the basis of these equations, they came up with these matrices. Okay. So what you see in these matrices is the percentage of trips which are taken by different modes. So for example, the total number which I showed you in the previous matrix, out of that total number, 75% are going by bus and taxi. Okay, sorry, this is the cost matrix. This is the utility, and this is the plot. Yeah, sorry, this one. So out of the total number which I showed you in the previous matrix, so between Manama and Manama, whatever trips we have, 70% of them will be by cars, 8% will be by bus and taxi. Okay, between Manama and Muharrak, 76% will be by cars and 4% will be by bus and taxi, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is an example of a trip interchange model. Okay, and you can see the results can be shown as a number of OD matrices. Okay, so I just remembered it when I was just talking about it, so I thought I should show it to you. Okay, These models, trip interchange models, they work on impedance. Now, impedance means resistance to something. Okay, resistance to something. Okay, or in other terms, they also call them the cost function. Cost function. Okay, so impedance means what are the things which are stopping you from using a mode. So that will be your cost, right? Now cost can be in terms of money, it can be in terms of time, or it can be in terms of distance or something else. Okay, anything which is, you know, adding to your impedance, adding to the resistance to go for that mode. So for example, I want to use a car but the fuel price is too high, so that will become an impedance. Okay, or let's say I want to use a car but in congestion times, in rush hours, if I use my car, then my travel time will be much higher. Okay, and then I have a metro which has a much less travel time in that rush hour. So that travel time will become the impedance or the cost function. Okay, so you know, travel, like I mentioned, travel time and cost already mentioned. So any variable which is stopping you from using a mode, that becomes an impedance. Okay, so in trip interchange models, we calculate the inverse of impedance, which is known as utility. Okay, so you are calculating the inverse of impedance. So impedance was stopping you from that mode, and utility is the benefit you are getting from that using that mode. Okay, so in trip interchange models, we calculate utility functions. Okay, utility functions are equations which tell you the benefits of using a particular mode. Okay. Then the mode choice, the mode is selected as per the choice of traveler, not as necessity. So the traveler has the full choice set. So if you have, like I showed you in the previous, from this project, from my project, the senior design project, that the traveler had the choice of car and bus and taxi. Okay. So we are not saying, like we were saying for trip and models, we were saying if he cannot afford a car, he will definitely go by a bus. Okay, so there was no chance that he can go by a car. But in trip interchange model, he has the chance that he can go by a car, he can go by a bus, he can go by a taxi as well. And from then he will select one mode. Okay, what we will select, how we will predict that which mode he is selecting, the mode which has higher likelihood or higher probability. Okay, so trip interchange model gives you the probability, okay, or the chance that a traveler can select one of the following modes. Okay, and the mode which has the higher probability, which has a higher chance of being selected by the traveler, we will take it as the selected mode. Okay, so if I go back to this example, the project example, now you see here, if I'm traveling between from like within Manama, then I have 70% of chance of choosing a car, and I have 8% chance of choosing bus and taxi. Okay, so which one has more chance of being chosen? Car. Okay, bus and taxi also has a chance of being chosen. Okay, but since car has more chance, so I will assume that this traveler will go by car. Okay, although car is not the only option, we are saying there is a chance that he may go by bus and taxi as well. Okay, so this is the main difference between the trip interchange and the trip end model. In trip interchange model, you have chance that other modes can also be selected, but obviously in the end you have to give me one value. You will tell me one value, that which mode he is selecting. So that one value will be the value which has more chance. Okay, the value which has more probability. And since you are talking about the utility functions, so these are the utility functions, not these ones. These are the utility functions. Okay, so they were considering cars and buses and taxis. Okay, so this is a utility function for car. So if you want to go by car, then you will decide on the basis of distance and cost. Okay, so distance and cost is adding to the utility of car. Like the benefit of using the car will be increased if your distance and cost is higher. Okay, and bus and taxi, you can see the inverse relationship here, that the distance and cost have negative sign here. So that means what? That you will obviously, when the utility of car is increasing, the utility of bus and taxi is decreasing. So utility of car increases with distance and cost. So utility of bus and taxi decreases with distance and cost. Okay, so these are the utility functions, and the utility functions you will see these parameters which are important for the traveler. Okay, in this case they are distance and cost, and in the slide they have also said that it can be travel time as well. Obviously it will be different. Okay, you cannot fix them that these are the parameters, but cost is very commonly there. Okay, the other one can be distance, it can be car ownership, it can be travel time, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then you have the utility functions which have these coefficients as well. Okay, now in this course, don't worry, we will not make trip interchange models. Okay, but some of you, if you have taken senior design project with me earlier, you may have made this model yourself. Okay, if you want, I can forward you the one or two of these projects in which these models are being made and used. Okay, I will upload one sample. Okay, I will upload this sample so that you can have an idea. Okay, so I was mentioning that the mode which has higher chances will be selected by us. By us, I mean transportation planners, that the traveler is going by this mode. Okay. Now within trip interchange models, we have different categories. The most common categories are logit and probit models. Okay. The one which I was showing was a logit model. Logit model. So logit is the short form. The full form is logistic regression model. Logistic regression model. Okay, why we call it regression? Because of the equation which I showed you. This is known as the regression equation. This form is known as the regression equation. Okay, and this is like y, the regression equation which you already know, y equals to mx plus b, right? So this is b. Okay, and then we have two values of x. Okay, so this is a more complicated regression equation. And why we call it logistic? Because in the end you put these equations in this function. So this is known as a regression function. Oh, sorry, logistic function. Sorry, logistic function. Okay, so that's why we call it logistic regression equation, because you are developing regression equation as utility functions, and then you put them in logistic function. Okay, so these are more common. Probit models are slightly more difficult, more complicated. I have not used them. Okay, but they are, if you want to search online, you will find them. Okay, which factors can affect the mode choice? Okay, these are four categories of factors which can affect the mode choice. One category is related to the person himself who is making the trip. Okay, the attributes or the characteristics of that person, including age, gender, income, household size. Household size means number of people in the family. Number of people in the family. Number of vehicles in the household. Okay, or it can be combination of these factors as well. For example, vehicles per member of household. So vehicles per member of household means what? You take number of vehicles divided by the household size, right? Number of vehicles divided by the household size will give you vehicles per member of household. So sometimes you can combine two or three factors, you can multiply them together or divide them, and you can find out a combined factor as well. Okay, but these are all factors which are related to the personal characteristics of the person who is making the trips. The other attributes are related to the mode choice or the transportation alternative you are considering. Okay, the characteristics or the attributes of the mode choice you are considering. So if you go by car, how much will be your cost, how much will be your travel time, how much time you will spend in the vehicle, how much time you will spend outside the vehicle waiting for it. Okay, if you are going in the parking area, then how much time you will spend waiting for the parking space. Okay, looking for the parking space. If you are going by the buses, then how much headway means gap. Okay, interval, time interval. Headway means time interval between the two buses. So if you miss one bus, how much extra you have to wait for the other bus, how many transfers you have to make. Okay, again, these are for buses. So each mode of transportation can have a different set of variables. So number of transfers you have to make. So if you are going by a bus, then obviously you may not reach your destination in one through a bus of one route. You may have to exchange buses from one route to the other. Okay, or it can include variables which are related to the comfort of the mode. So how much comfort the mode is providing you, and so on and so forth. So these are, different variables which are all related to the mode you are considering. Then we have attributes related to the trip itself, okay, or the reason of the trip. Okay, attributes related to the trip or the reason of the trip. So what is the purpose of the trip? From which area you are making the trip and in which area you are going? What is the so area type will mean land use. Area type will mean land use. Employment and population densities, okay, at the origin and destination. Employment, number of people employed per household, something like this, okay, and population, number of people living per square kilometer or something. In the origin as well as the destination, availability of parking, okay, and parking obviously will be required only in the destination zone, okay. So these are the parameters which are related to the trip. Then the parameters related to the interaction of these things, interaction of these three parameters, okay. So for example, travel time by income category. So a particular income category may have an average travel time, okay, or travel time by a specific age group. So people from a specific age group may be going for a specific type of trips, okay, or the cost of trip divided by the household income. So cost of trip is the attribute of the mode, and household income is the attribute of the traveler, okay. So you are mixing them together. So if you mix some parameters together and you come up with a new parameter, that will come in the fourth category. So this is like a flexibility, the flexibility in choosing the parameter, okay. These parameters are not fixed, okay. These parameters are not fixed. Sometimes you don't have data for some parameters, you ignore them, okay. Sometimes you don't have or sometimes you know that this parameter is not important. For example, if the trips are in the same area, okay, so the land use is not important. No? It's in the same area, same type of area, so land use is not important, so you can take it out. Purpose, so I'm only doing it for education trips, for example. If I'm only doing it for students, then purpose is not important, you can take it out. I know everyone is going for education, okay. So the project I will forward you in that you can see they are only doing it for work trips, trips which are taking to the workplaces. So again, purpose is not important then, because we already know all trips are for the same purpose, okay, and so on and so forth. How do we collect these variables which are required for mode choice? You have to do a household travel survey, okay. So you go to houses of the people and you ask them about their travel characteristics, their mode choices, their travel behavior, their own characteristics, their trip types, and so on and so forth. So all these variables will be asked through a survey, which should be focused on each household. Like I said, each family. Household means a family, okay. This can be made part of the census like it is done in USA and European countries, or you can do it as standalone, okay, just for the purpose of mode choice. You can do it alone as well, or census means the surveys which are normally done for the population, okay. The government does surveys each year for the population, or they collect data from different sources about the population. They can make this travel survey part of it as well, or if they don't want to make it, you can do it standalone. Standalone means separately, okay, not part of census. You may ask the travelers to keep a travel diary, okay. You may make a travel diary for them. Travel diary means so it will be a diary. So I'm making one trip, I will record that in my diary, okay. Now we have online applications, so you don't have to keep a paper and pen, okay. Just okay, I'm making this trip, you note it down in your mobile app and that is saved. When you make the next trip, you will note it down in the mobile app and that is saved, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, I have the attributes of each of my trips. So I took 3 trips, so for each trip I have which time I went, which area I went, and which mode I took, and so on and so forth. So these are known as travel diaries, okay. So like I was saying, a selection of variables, you don't have to include all the variables which I discussed. It will depend upon the geographical area, okay, the area in which you are doing the survey and the community in which you are doing the survey. For a few communities, some variables are not important, okay. For example, if I go back, maybe for us, maybe I'm just saying, you know, the employment density is not important, for example. Okay, maybe for us. Okay, we don't we can go to an area which has less employment density as well, and we can go to areas which have more employment density as well. So if you feel that this is the case, then you can exclude that variable. You don't have to ask about that variable or collect data about that variable. Okay, so the variables which you are the process of obtaining the variables for each zone is known as skimming. Okay, so we have different TLGs, origin destination zones, and we collect data for each zone, which will help us in the mode choice model, and this process is known as skimming. Okay, so you collect data about population, employment density, the buses going into that area, road network, and so on. This is known as skimming. Okay, so skimming is the process in which you obtain data for different variables. Okay, so utility models which are used in logistic regression models. So I just showed you the utility function from the project, and this is the general form. Okay, so B is the coefficient, A is the X value. Okay, so summation, because I told you you can have number of variables, you can have cost, time, and so on and so forth. UX is the utility of using mode X. So utility, like I said, is like benefit. What benefit you are getting by using the mode X. N is the number of variables. So if you have two variables in the equation, N will be 2. Like I showed you in the project case, there were two variables, cost and distance. So N was 2 there. Okay. AI or A is the value of that variable, the value of the cost, the value of the distance, value of the travel time, and so on and so forth. Like they have given examples here. And BI is the coefficient which you estimate for this equation. So BI is the thing you are estimating. Okay. And then you will have, so for example, you have two modes, auto and bus, car and bus. They will have two utility functions. Okay, and then you put the utility functions here. So you calculate the value of utility for car. Okay, and you put it over here, and then remember, since you have two modes, so you have two functions, two utility equations. So in the denominator, I am taking the summation. Okay, so you can see here, for example, you are calculating the probability of choosing transit. So the utility function of transit will be in the power of the exponential in the numerator, and in the denominator you will take the summation of the exponential with the utility functions. Okay, the denominator is the summation, obviously it will be a constant, and the numerator will be for the mode for which you are calculating the probability. So if I'm calculating the probability for transit or public transport, it will come in the numerator. If I'm calculating the probability for car, then car, utility of car will come in the numerator. Okay, so this is the logistic function, this logistic function follows this trend. This logistic function follows this trend. Okay, this is a curve, like you have sine curve, cosine curve, sine curve and cosine curve, and tangent, a curve for tangent. This is the curve for logistic function. This is a curve for logistic function. Okay, so for example, if you are calculating utility of transit, okay, utility of transit, and you get value more than 50%, that means transit is better. Okay, and if your value is less than 50%, that means auto or the car was better. Okay, so this is how you decide which mode the traveler will choose. Okay, you calculate the probability using the logistic function. If the value is more than 50%, then this mode is better. If the value is less than 50%, then the other modes may be better. Okay. Then we have different types of logic models. We have multinomial, we have nested logic model. So previous one which I showed you was two modes, right? Car and bus. If you have more than two modes, we call it multinomial. Multinomial means when you are considering more than two choices. When you are considering more than two choices, we call it multinomial. For example, you have auto, which is the car, and bus and train. So this becomes a multinomial model. If you include more choices in that, it will still remain multinomial. So more than two is multinomial. More than two choices, multinomial. You can have nested logic model as well. Okay, nested logic model is a type of multinomial model, but where you group the choices together with respect to their type. So for example, you have auto, okay, and then within transit you have two choices, because bus and train both are different modes of public transport. Okay, bus and train both are different modes of public transport, so we call it transit. Okay, so in nested logic model, the choices which are similar to each other or which belong to the same category are grouped together. In nested logic model, choices which are similar to each other are grouped together. Okay, so I can have a third group as well, which is active travel. They call it active travel, travel in which you are doing everything, which is walking and bicycle. Okay, so walking and bicycle, you are doing the, you are moving the vehicle, or you are moving yourself. So you can add a third group here as well. So auto is independent. Then we have transit, which has two subtypes, and then you can have a third group as well, which is active travel, meaning walking and bicycles, if it is available. So this is the difference between nested logic model and multinomial logic model, that the nested one, you group the choices together which are similar to each other, which belong to the same category, and this grouping is known as nesting. Okay, nest means a group. Okay, if you have only two choices together, we call it binary logic model. Okay, if you have only two choices of modes, then you call it binary. So if I cancel out the train from here, if you only have auto and bus, then this will be called as binary logic model. Binary. Okay, binary means two, right? 0 and 1. So if you only have two modes, we call it binary. If you have more than two modes, we call it multinomial. And if you are grouping the modes together, we call it nested logic. This is an example given in the textbook on page 74 for nested logic model. So you can have motorized and non-motorized. Non-motorized can be walking and bicycling, active modes, which I was calling them. Then within auto mode, you can have drive alone or shared ride. Okay, and then within shared, then you can have sharing with two, sharing with three, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can see how many branches they are making. So in the end, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27 different categories. Imagine 27 different categories of modes just for one city, Texas. Okay, just imagine. This is a more simple example. Okay, this is from our published paper. You can see the reference here. And so the mode choice only has two groups: motorized, non-motorized. Motorized are car and bus, and non-motorized are walking and biking. Okay, and this is from the student data we collected from KFUPM, King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, in Saudi Arabia. Okay, I have some friends there. I wrote a paper with them. You can see the reference here. Okay, you can have a look at the paper. You will see more advanced models here if you want to have a look. Okay, now we move on to the third stage. Like I said, we will not cover the development of mode choice models in this course because it is complicated. Okay, I can show you with the software, but still, you need a lot of knowledge from the statistics to develop these models. Anyway, so I will move on to the fourth and final step of TDM model, travel demand forecasting model, which is trip assignment. So trip assignment means now you assign travelers on different routes between the zones. Okay, you assign travelers on different routes between the zones. So you start the trip assignment using the trip table, the OD matrix. Okay, trip assignment starts with the OD matrix, and the final output from trip assignment is path table. Okay, path means route. Path means route. Okay, so the final outcome of trip assignment is you will have a path table. Okay, and I will show you later on how this table looks like. Okay, but in this table, basically you will be showing different paths between the different zones, and you will show number of trips on each path, number of trips on each route between different routes. Okay, now each trip may have a series of paths or a chain of paths or routes connecting it. Okay, each trip may be completed by using a series of paths. Okay, you may not just use one highway to go from one zone to the other. You may be using a series of highways. This makes sense, right? This is understood. This is obvious that if I want to go from one zone to the other, I may not be using one highway. I may have to use a series of chain of highways. Okay, so highways or paths or routes, they are similar to each other in this context. Okay. So you need the characteristics of the links to estimate the desirability of the link. Okay, you need the characteristics of the link to estimate the desirability of the link. Link meaning the highway which is connecting the two zones. Okay, the highway which is connecting the two zones, that is a link. Okay, so how desirable is this highway? How desirable means how much preferred. Okay, to what extent, to what degree I am preferring this highway over the others. Okay, and if the desirability is higher, then the traffic load on that highway will be higher as well. Okay, if the desirability is higher, then the traffic load on that highway will be higher. Desirability includes what? Desirability or the characteristics which can change the desirability include length of the trip, speed limit, length of the link, speed limit on the link, travel time of the link, okay, capacity, functional classification, and any other characteristics. Okay, so functional classification including what? Can somebody tell me the functional classification of the highways? There were three main types, right? We discussed it in highway engineering course as well, and maybe in this course.
Local, collectors, and arterials.
Yeah, good. So which type of highway is connecting these zones and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are the things which you need to estimate the desirability of a link. Okay, so again we will apply the skimming process. Skimming process means find out these attributes. Okay, now between each two zones, you may have number of possible series of links. Between each two zones, you may have number of possible series of links. For example, consider the link between zone 1 and zone 7. Zone 1 and zone 7. Yeah, zone 1 and zone 7. Now, how can I go from zone 1 to zone 7? There are different paths possible for me. One path is go from 1 to 4, okay, then 4 to 7. Okay, this is one path, 1 to 4, 4 to 7. Okay, another path can be 1 to 5, 5 to 7. Another path can be 1 to 4, 4 to 6, 4 to 7. Okay, another path can be 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 2 to 7. Okay, so in this figure you can see all available links are presented here. Okay, so obviously you can see there is no direct link between 1 and 7, right? There is no direct link between 1 and 7, but the indirect links are more than 1. Okay, so you can see the indirect links are given here: 1 to 4, 4 to 7, 1 to 5, 5 to 7, 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 7, 1 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 7. Okay, similarly, if I want to go from zone 1 to zone 4, okay, I have a direct link 1 to 4. Okay, but I have indirect links as well. Okay, 1 to 3, 3 to 4, 1 to 5, 4 to 5, 1 to 5 and 5 to 4. So indirect links are also there. Then 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 2 to 4, and 5 to 4. These indirect links are also there. Now, your question can be, why would I use any other link if 1 to 4 is available? Okay, though you may argue with me, why are we discussing other choices if for two zones we have a direct link? But that direct link may have some problem. This is where the skimming process comes into play. Okay, what if this street between 1 to 4 is a one-way street? So 1 to 4 is not allowed. What then? Then you have to use other links, right? Okay, then you have to consider the other link. So this is one link, which is a direct link, may be preferred by travelers if it is allowed by the characteristics of the route. If it is allowed by the characteristics of the route. Okay, and I will discuss some other points later on as well. So 1 to 4 may not be possible because it's a one-way street. Okay, or it may be over a river, and on that river there's a bridge, and that bridge, you know, closes and opens. If you have gone to Turkey or Europe or some country like that, you have seen, you know, you may have seen they have bridges over the rivers, and these bridges, you know, for passing of the ships or something like this, they close the bridges. Okay, so maybe you want to take a trip during night time, and during night time the bridge is closed, so you cannot cross from 1 to 4. This can happen. Okay, or you may have too much congestion on this link. 1 to 4, maybe it's a direct link, but it has too much congestion on it. And this is something we have all experienced, right? Sometimes you don't go by the direct route because it has too much congestion. You go by some other route. Okay, so this is possible. So you have to consider these things before you say that this traveler will go by this link or this series of link. Okay, now let us consider this example where with each link, now you can see the travel times as well. With each link, you can see the travel times. Okay, so these are travel times in minutes, travel times in minutes. So 1 to 3, I will take 1 minute, 1 to 4, I will take 2 minutes. Okay, and so on. So if I want to go 1 to 6 and I take this route 1 to 4 and 4 to 6, then the travel time will be added. So 1 to 4, 2 minutes, and 4 to 6, 2 minutes. So total travel time 4 minutes. From this route, total travel time 4 minutes. Okay, I want to go route to zone 5, and I will take this route, for example. So it will be 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay, now if I take this route direct, it will only take me 2 minutes. Okay, if I take this route 1 to 2 and 2 to 5, then it will take me 3 and 5 minutes. Okay, so whenever you have a series, you will add the travel time together. This is what we are saying. Instead of travel time, you can use other variables as well. For example, cost. Okay, or you may use functional classification. Okay, so like RTGS, collectors, local routes, you can add them here as well. Okay, so for example, why functional classification can be important? People may like to travel more on RTGS as compared to local routes. Okay, so maybe 1 to, if I go by this route, 1 to 4 and 4 to 6, these are two local streets. Okay, but if I go 1 to 5 and 5 to 6, these are two arterials. So people generally prefer more on traveling on arterials because arterials have high speed. Arterials have high speed, more design standards, more like higher design standards, more lanes, and so on. So functional classification may be important in this context. Okay, and cost, obviously you can, instead of travel time, you can have cost. Okay, cost can be the fuel consumption. If you have a toll plaza, for example, you are going from here to Saudi Arabia, then you have a toll plaza. You have to pay the tax on the causeway. Okay, so that will be the cost. So instead of travel time, you can have the cost as well if it is important for you. Okay, if it is a bus network, then it can be the fare which you have to pay, and so on. So this network can be made with any other variable as well, depending upon what is important for the traveler. Okay, so you must know what is important for the traveler. If the travel time is normally the case, travel time is most common important factor for the traveler when he is choosing the route. You know that, right? When you want to go from place A to place B, what is your prime important factor? Travel time. Okay, so this is the common factor, but they have mentioned other factors can come into play as well. Now, when you are deciding, you will decide on the basis of shortest path assignment. You will assign the trips to the shortest path. Shortest path meaning the one which has the least travel time. The one which has the least travel time. Okay. So the other variables can be distance or cost. So replace travel time with distance or replace travel time with cost. It can also work. In shortest path assignment, you assign all trips or nothing. You assign all trips or nothing. So for example, I have 500 trips going from zone 1 to zone 4. 500. Now either all these 500 trips will go on this link or some other link. Okay, I cannot distribute them. In shortest path method, whatever link you select between the two zones, all trips of that link will be assigned to that path. All trips between those two zones will be assigned to that link. Okay, there's no distribution. Okay, so if I say between 1 to 4 the shortest path is this one, then all 500 trips are in this link. Okay, if you decide between 1 to 6 the shortest path is 1 to 4 and 4 to 6, then all trips, let's say there are 1000 trips from 1 to 6, then all 1000 trips will go from 1 to 4 and 4 to 6. This is what they mean here by all or nothing. All or nothing. Okay, so here they are showing which zones are connected with zone 1. So zone 1 is connected directly with 2, 4, 5 and 3. Then 5 is connected with 7 as well. Then 3 is connected with 6 and 8. And 8 is connected with 9 and 10 zones. Okay, so this is showing the connection for zone 1. So obviously we are starting the calculation for zone 1 again. Okay, so the origin is zone 1, the destination is zone 2, and then you have 10 zones. Okay, so it's for this figure. Okay, this figure. So you have 10 zones. So we are now estimating from zone 1 to all the other zones. Okay, so if I want to go from zone 1 to zone 2, the shortest path is 1 to 2. 1 to 2. The number of trips between 1 to 2 is 30. This information is given. Okay, this information is given. Okay, so shortest path means 1 to 2 has the least travel time as compared to any other link between 1 and 2. Okay, so if I go here, you want to go from 1 to 2. Okay, this is the least, the path with the least travel time. Other paths can be 1 to 4 and 4 to 2, right? They're also possible, 1 to 4, 4 to 2. But this will give you how much travel time? 1 to 4, 2 minutes, 4 to 2, 3 minutes. So total travel time, 5 minutes. If you go directly 1 to 2, it will take only 3 minutes. So this is showing, the last column is showing the least travel time, the path with the least travel time. Okay, so again we have a direct connection between 1 to 3. It will only take, I don't know how many, 1 to 3, only 1 minute, only 1 minute. So obviously this is the least travel time. Similarly, and these are the number of trips. Okay, so all these trips will be assigned to 1 to 2. This link 1 to 2 will have all these 30 trips, no distribution, because this is the least travel time path. Okay, now if you want to go from 1 to 6, then you have to go from 1 to 3 and 3 to 6. Let me go back here. 1 to 3 and 3 to 6. Okay, like I said, you can take this one as well, 1 to 4 and 4 to 6. But 1 to 4 means 2 minutes, 4 to 6 means 2 minutes. Total 4 minutes. If you go from 1 to 3 to 6, you will have 1 minute plus 2, so 3 minutes. So again, this is the least cost or least travel time path. Okay, so this is how they are selecting it. Okay, and so on. So all these 30 trips will come from 1 to 3 and 3 to 6. Okay, and all these 20 trips will come from 1 to 5 and 5 to 7. Now, what will be the number of trips on each link coming from zone 1? Number of trips to each link coming from zone 1. Now you may say we already have it, but some trips are used for more than, some links are used for more than one zone. For example, 1 to 3. 1 to 3 will be used by these 50 people who are going from 1 to 3, and it is also used by these 30 people who are going from 1 to 3 as well. Okay, and they will again proceed to 3 to 6 then. But 1 to 3, you have 50 plus 30. Okay, so if I calculate the number of trips, let me come here. So I will add the link here and the trips here. Okay, so my link is 1 to 2. Sorry, what should I do here? Or I will write 1 to 2. Okay, this will be better. 1 to 2, then 1 to 3, then 1 to 4, then 1 to 5, then 3 to 6, then 1 to 5 is covered, 5 to 7, then 3 to 8, then 8 to 9, and then 8 to 10. These are the links for which strips have been, the links which are appearing here in one way or the other. So 1 to 2, 30 trips. Do I have any other link with this combination 1 to 2? No. So only 30 trips on 1 to 2. 1 to 3, 50 here, then 30 here. So 80, 50 plus 30, 80. Then 1 to 3 here again. So 80 plus 60. 80 plus 60 will be 240. No, sorry, 140. Okay. Then 1 to 3 here again. So 10 more. 150. Then 100 more. 250. Okay. So 250. Then 1 to 4. This one only 40. Only appearing once. Then 1 to 5. Is it appearing again? No. So 1 to 5 is 30. Then 3 to 6. So 3 to 6 we have 30 from here and nothing else, right?
We have 1 to 5 twice.
Sorry?
1 to 7.
1 to 5 is twice. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
30 here and 20 here. So 40, 50. It was Iman, right? Good. 5 to 7 appearing only once, right? So 20 trips. Then 3 to 8 is appearing in these three. So 60 plus 10 plus 100, 170. Then 8 to 9 only appearing once, 10. And then 8 to 10, 100. Okay, so the most number of trips are on zone on link 1 to 3. Okay, so what did they do? Between each two zones, they already had the number of trips from the OD matrix. They estimated the link travel time or the link cost, whatever is suitable for you, and then you calculate the number of the shortest path between the two zones, and you assign the trip to that shortest path. Okay, so this is what they have done here as well. Okay, and on the basis of that, this is now the flow on the network. Okay, so now these lines, the blue lines, are showing how much flow is there. Again, the width of the line is according to the number of trips. Number of trips are higher, that means the width will be more. Okay, and these are only for the 10 internal zones, only for the 10 internal zones, because for the external zones we don't have the network. We don't have the network. You can see here no roads shown here. So the trip assignment is only done for the area which is under the planning horizon, under the planning study. Okay, the external zones are considered at the time of trip distribution and mode choice, but in trip assignment you will not consider it. Trip assignment you will not consider it. So you know how many trips are going to be there in the within the zone, but you will not consider it. Okay. Okay. Today is Tuesday, right? Today is Tuesday. Okay, fine. So we can cover it within this week, inshallah. And this is the third week, right? This is the third week, right? Third week of the semester, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Ali Akil, Ali Salah, and Iman Kamil. Iman is here. Ali Akil and Ali Salah. Ali Akil. Asma Khalil, Zahra, Sayyid, Nujuz Salah. Asma, Zahra. Dana Nasir, Nadine Hussam, Noor Yusuf. Dana Nasir, Nadine, okay. Dana Isa, Reem Abdul Hamid, Zainab Muhammad. Dana Isa, Reem Abdul Hamid. Asil Adnan, Nadir Abdul Munim, Latifa Ahmed. Okay, Asil Adnan, Nadir Abdul Munim, Asil Adnan. Salma Jafar, Qasim Tahir, Badr Ghassan. Badr is here, Salma, okay. Muhammad Akbar, Ahmad Amin, Ibrahim Muhammad. Muhammad Akbar, Ahmad Amin, Ibrahim Muhammad. Muhammad Akbar, okay. Ibrahim Muhammad, and Ahmad Amin. I think I'm getting you guys to sleep, right? Lectures should be more interesting. Anyways, okay, we are done.